start by explaining some guidelines for the webinar. The panelists and the speakers will appear on the screen, and you can feel free to ask questions through the chat if you wish. And at the end of each presentation, the contact will be left, so you can contact them for more information. We will send you certificates of attendance at the end of the webinar. And the focus of today's webinar will be it's on the EMME project and its partners' experience, and on the sharing of 5 international good practice in the field of labor inclusion for migrant populations. So, Patricia, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hello to everyone and to all the participants for this international conference. And I will start immediately. We will have a very short presentation of our projects, then we go with the video and with some other intervention. So let me see that I ask, okay, to move it. Okay. Okay, now I'm sorry, but it's not easy. I cannot move it. Sorry. I don't know why, but I can move the presentation. Can you give me an hand, please?
Yeah, 1 second, please.
Okay, can we go on the first one? You can do it. Up the first one. Okay, right. So our project was funded in 2018, and it belongs to the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund, and the call is nowadays as well, even with the new program, is aimed to have an integration of third country national. So originally the project was thought to last 24 months, but because of COVID-19 pandemic, it lasted 30 months. We started the 1st January of 2019, and we will finish this month. So the total budget is about 500,000 euro, and we have even a contribution from partners who believed strongly in this project. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so the main aim it is and it was and it will be to promote and raise awareness and integration of migrants, third countries, national people in the job sector. And the idea was to have 3 countries, and we have UK or rather Scotland, as Jimmy I'm sure will prefer me to say. So we have some Scottish partners, Spanish partners, and Italian partners. And the idea has been to create a network. So organization, 3 most important organizations from Italy, from Spain, and from Scotland, that they were representing training, enterprises, and organization working with migrants in order to have a real local network of partners. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So at the end, before, can you go back? Thank you. So what it was going to involve, and it did it, and we really reached the objective, and that is very important because with the COVID pandemic, there was a moment that we didn't believe that we could do it, but we did it. So we involved more than 130 enterprises, more than 300 persons have been profiled with the European skill profile, and 60 staff working have been trained to use the tool developed in the project. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's go very quickly to the specific objective. We started with info days in order to strengthen and to link and to have a strong connection with enterprises. And we had some info days. Partners went to enterprises, some other at the info day in the enterprises, in their location, in order to really reinforce the network. And at the end, we have more than 100 enterprises who signed an agreement of collaboration. The collaboration meant and means to host migrants in order to have an internship experience, and in some cases, for example, we have some cases in Italy, they really hired people. We had 100 employees who participated at the focus group at European level. And of course, we train even 150 employees on diversity management. And later, Monia will tell us what it means and what it was in our project, the concept of diversity management. Okay, let's go on. Fine. We even had the opportunity to train our staff to use the European Skills Profile tool, and they did it in these 30 months to to design and to have and create a real curriculum for the third national country people. We had even 135 persons, I would say more, because we are about 150 people trained on language and on active job search. I think those are a very good and important number. We have been able, although the COVID, to have more than 100 placement. And at the end, we even had a provision. We provide placement support for the 100 placement in all countries, of course. So then the impact, it was really achieved, and not to say it again, but that is a real goal we achieved. Because especially in Scotland, the COVID restriction have been very strong, much stronger than in Italy and in Spain, and they really went on lockdown for many months, but they've been able anyway to reach their goal. So we can arrive to the last slide. And here we have an overview of the partners of the three countries. So Girasoled, as a coordinator, they host about 1,000 third national countries in their facilities. Coeso, I represent Coeso, is a quite medium, big size consortium with about more than 20 social cooperative associated. Then there was a Conf Cooperative, that is an enterprise association, Fondazione Deco, and Monia will tell us something about. In Scotland or in UK, we had a network with Bridges program, that is an hosting organization providing services for our targets. The Glasgow Clyde College, thanks to Jim and Russia, they did a very strong training, languages and web training. And at the end, the Glasgow City Council, they gave us an hand in recruiting migrants. The least but not the last, of course, the University of Almeria, they've been really precious because they gave, how to say, a scientific apport to the project. Almeria COGE that represented an association working with migrants, and we have David Lawrence who is representing them, and at the end Rambla Business Solution. Thanks to Rambla, because they really have been great in supporting us in all the enterprises content and topics. So thank you so much, and I'm very happy to have all of you here, and we go on with our conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrizia. And now we are going to let the floor to Monia from Fondazione Adeco. Thank you, Monia. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you to everyone, also from our side. So it's really a pleasure for us being with you. So thank you to all, and also from Incoma. Okay. So just a brief introduction about the Adeco Foundation and our main topics, and then I pass on, thank you, about the goal of EMME project. So I'll just go. Okay. Thank you. So as Adeco Foundation in Italy, we have really huge experience in inclusion paths, and for people with disadvantages, especially in inclusion paths, and over 20 years now. So in 2020, it's our birthday. So we focus on people with disability, youngster and need, and women with disadvantage, that means victim of violence of family burden, refugee and asylum seeker, obviously, and migrants, and a new form of poverty. That's mean people on probation or post-COVID effects. And as you can see, we took in charge more than 9,000 people and more than 5,000 in inclusion paths. So our approach is multi-level, multi-stakeholder, and multidisciplinary. So our networking counts on different NPO, NGO that really take in charge people with disadvantage, and obviously migrants and refugee and asylum seeker. So, okay, thanks. When we talk about diversity, inclusion, and the goal of EMME project, we talk about the change of paradigm. So we talk about employability. And you can see the transformation of the labor markets and the engagement of enterprises and the compliance of society. So in 1990, we referred to Carroll pyramids, and integration means homologation. We have to wait until 2000 with the European Council in Lisbon for having another concept of CSR, from ecological and sustainability and human resources focused. So, but we have to wait nowadays talking about the third employability paradigm that reflects new mega trends in labor markets. What does it mean? It means that the employability paradigms talk about us of the change about labor markets. So you have to know that the index, for example, of geopolitical and economic uncertainty is triple, also for pandemic and COVID-19. Every enterprises talk about the needs of upskilling and reskilling. So in the workforce, obviously, and also the increasing of gig economy are evidence, but human century remain important. So when we talk about employability, we talk about a new paradigm, and we talk about lifelong employability and embedding different level of action, also the diversity inclusion. So employability means skills, understanding, and personal attributes in order to gain employment and be successful in their chosen occupation, which benefit themselves, the workforce, community, and the economy. So we can say that the key words are employability, awareness, diversity, inclusion. So again, thanks. When we start with EMME project, we start with the evidence of the research about the benefit in the organization. And you can see from Harvard Business Review, McKinsey, and all the latest research about diversity inclusion, we know very well what are the benefits. First, the increasing of productivity. So diversity inclusion brings in diverse different talent together in working towards a common goal. Increased creativity and problem solving. So many different diverse minds coming together, many more solutions will arise as every individual brings in their way of thinking, operating and solving problems and decision makings. Attract and retain talent that has a competitive edge to any organization. So feeling including and amplified increase in loyalty and feeling of belonging, and help to build synergy in teams and enhance communication skills that brings new attitude and process that profile the whole team. And apply the proper diversity inclusion management strategies does not only save money or litigation expenses, but generated by discrimination, for example, but is the right things to do for the business. So it increases market share and creates satisfied diverse customer base. So this is an evidence of research. So again, thanks. Our goals in EMME project was very clear. So was fostering awareness on diversity inclusion at workplace, emphasizing benefits and of building a diverse and inclusive workforce. So we really worked together on this multi-level with multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary. Again, so talking about methodology, the diversity inclusion, again, sorry. Maybe, I don't know if, thank you. So talking about methodology point of view, the diversity inclusion progress in EMME project was a kind of system approach. So it's a creation of really an inclusive working environment. So from one hand, we work with public service, municipalities, NGO, NPO, and use the tools from HR experience, also from vocational guidance and training. And session, because the beneficiaries have to be ready for an active job searching, so self-empower and be aware about employability. And from the other hand, we co-plan outreach session about diversity inclusion with the employee, with the enterprises. So we help enterprise to enhance the value of different people, different talent and different background. This is our methodology. Again, thanks. So what was implementation of activities? So we start with need analysis and focus group with a lot of enterprises and migrant social. That means co-planning and have a multi-stakeholder project, and also an outreach session about diversity inclusion, both diversity talk and both diversity experience. So the diversity inclusion program is finalizing in the creation of an inclusive working environment that encourage the expression of individual potential and uses it as strategic lever for attaining the organizational aim. All people are part of a common path in which professional competences and skills are employment to strengthen the bonds with the relational and human aspect. Again. So here you can also see some diversity experience that we share, for example, the cooking lab or human library in the enterprises, for example, Gucci. And this is activity took in consideration both diversity talk and both the experience of the people with co-planning with the enterprises and putting the migrants, refugee as a key player of the training. This is very important because we're breaking down stereotype about migrants and about refugee, and co-building with a new storytelling and different insight for participants. Here are just some example, but we really want to implement this kind of diversity experience. So at the end, last one, thanks. The lesson learned. The lesson learned that we want to share with you, that the first thing is the hybridization of private and public networking. So different expertise and background for the common goal. The community-based approach or corporate-based approach means that the target is a part of a specific process. Also, the enterprise are co-planning with us, all the outreach session, all the process. It's not just at the end, but we start together. So self-empowerment and employability paradigm. The system approach, so is multi-level, multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary, is particularly very focused, very important. And the vocational career education, the training section for beneficiary are really important in order to empower job searching activities and outreach session for enterprises also. So at the end, inclusion is an imperative, it's not a choice. So diversity is about thinking and acting inclusively. So be best practice behind compliance. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Monia. And now we are going to share a video about EMME project. So let's go.
EMME sta per Enterprises Meet Migrants for Employment e in realtà l'obiettivo del progetto è quello di cercare di unire i migranti con il mondo delle imprese. Questo progetto viene replicato in 3 diversi paesi europei. Uno è l'Italia naturalmente, l'altro è in Spagna e l'altro ancora invece in Scozia.
Io sono Eva, sono Rossano Urbano, sono del Perù. Qui in Firenze 1 anno 7 mesi.
Me llamo Seida, soy marroquí, vivo en Las Norias, provincia de Almería. Llegué hace 3 años.
Mi chiamo Jasin Chokri.
Allora, io mi chiamo Alfa Omar Kande, vengo dalla Guinea-Bissau e sono in Italia da 5 anni ora.
Me llamo Ayub, tengo 27 años y vivo en El Ejido, España.
¿Dónde naciste?
En Marruecos.
Me llamo Sowad, vivo en Las Norias, tengo 30 años aquí en España.
¿Y dónde naciste?
Marruecos.
¿En qué ciudad?
Ouarzazate.
So we're down here at Glasgow Cathedral today with Athena Nagas, who's one of the Bridges Project's EMME clients.
I'm from Eritrea. Eritrea is a beautiful country, it's a hot country. Also, it have a sea. You can see in the east of Africa, so it's a good country, Eritrea. Living in Eritrea is good. We are very sociable and friendly. We have a family also with you together. But here you are alone. You don't have family. But when here to live is very good opportunity for education, for work. I'm settled now. I'm 10 years almost in here, Glasgow.
And you're going to make this your home?
Yes.
Il progetto EMME si basa su 3 pilastri fondamentali. Uno è rappresentato dai migranti, quindi a livello europeo noi abbiamo coinvolto 300 migranti a cui sono stati offerti dei percorsi formativi. Ecco, la formazione rappresenta il secondo pilastro fondamentale sul quale appunto si basa questo progetto.
Pues actualmente estoy haciendo curso de carretillero. Son 6 días, desde el lunes de la semana anterior hasta hoy que es el último día. Pues dar clases teóricas los primeros días, después hemos tenido un simulador en la clase para poder practicar y ya hoy por la práctica con el torillo de verdad. Al principio un poco nervioso y la cagué rompiendo el palé al principio, pero ya cogiendo un poco de práctica, pues bien.
Ho fatto il corso di pulizie, come pulire, che si deve usare per lavorare con questi virus che hai, tutto sanificato, tutto questo.
Corso de manipulador de alimento. Cuando quieren venir Picasso un curso también. Yo quiero más cursos, sí, yo quiero más cursos y yo quiero aprender más cosas.
Claro. La primera vez me voy a hacer curso aquí, sí, porque hay almacenes que necesitan trabajadores.
Io, diciamo, questo settore non ho mai fatto come lavoro e quindi avevo un po' di difficoltà di capire come funziona. Ho seguito, alla fine mi è andato tutto bene.
When I start here, my confidence is very low because of, you know, I come from other country.
Yes.
I don't have like, my English is not good enough. So I got more confidence, they give me some advice, you know,
Good.
and then we give us some trainings. I learned like, I feel like I'm very caring people, and then I have more patient with my resident also in workplace, and then it's more, I'm more responsible. I got more responsibility.
Il terzo pilastro fondamentale è rappresentato dalle aziende che sono state appunto intercettate dal progetto e con le quali si è fatto sia un lavoro di sensibilizzazione delle aziende al tema della diversità, facendo diverse attività appunto con loro, quali focus group e quant'altro, producendo anche delle linee guida utili anche a favorire l'ingresso dei migranti stessi all'interno appunto di quelle aziende.
Io sono Emanuele Gani, sono il titolare di Lustrino Servizi, un'impresa di pulizia di Firenze, Prato e Pistoia, e sono stato contattato dal progetto EMME per fare da docente per questo corso sulla pulizia e la sanificazione, che ci ha visto coinvolti negli ultimi 3 mesi del 2020, dove sostanzialmente insegnavamo il mestiere, sia la parte teorica che la parte pratica, ai ragazzi che partecipavano a questi corsi. C'è stato un proseguo che ha visto coinvolti 4-5 ragazzi che sono stati ricontattati poi da noi per partecipare al tirocinio che è stato effettuato ad oggi, è quasi finito, e insomma vedremo poi dopo come andrà al termine.
Mi hanno mandato in azienda, mi hanno fatto con una collega per fare il tirocinio. Quando vado con lui mi fa vedere come si fa, magari se anche una cosa lo sapevo fare, ma non sapevo come farlo perfettamente bene, e quindi mi fa vedere perfettamente. Se faccio errori mi dice così si fa, io sono contento.
Hablando ya con los participantes del curso, resulta que es muy necesario porque hay muchas personas que no tienen acceso a ese tipo de formación, además dado por una empresa con mucha experiencia, porque no son gratuitos este tipo de cursos y lo necesitan porque la mayoría de los puestos de trabajo que pueden ser interesantes para estos participantes, pues es un requisito. El manipulador de alimentos es requisito. Carretillero, para muchas de las personas es imprescindible.
Hay muchos almacenes por esta zona, sobre todo por la verdura y la fruta. Mejora mucho más tu currículum para la hora de mandárselo al almacén. Estoy haciendo este curso para mejorar el currículum para que me llamen.
Sí, porque hay almacenes que necesitan trabajadores.
Yo trabajando un mes en Picasol, el viernes ya, y ahora me busco trabajo.
Il Covid è stato per tutti i paesi, comunque è stato devastante, cioè ha avuto degli effetti molto importanti appunto nello sviluppo del progetto. Intanto perché è avvenuto nel momento in cui si sarebbero dovute implementare le maggiori attività, quali per esempio le attività di formazione e le attività appunto legate all'inserimento lavorativo dei migranti, e sia perché appunto le aziende di conseguenza, cioè era difficile intercettarle. La soluzione si è trovata intanto inizialmente sospendere appunto alcune di quelle attività previste per poi riprendere, quindi richiedendo anche una proroga anche nella realizzazione del progetto.
One of the problems we had with COVID-19 is that one of the parts of the project were about work placement, and obviously if employers were closed, they couldn't take people into the workplace. So we had to rethink the sort of employers that we could work with. So we were still able to get some people into the workplace because not every industry was closed. But we had to work with employers differently or creatively. So we did a lot of work with employers online, looking at the skills that they specifically need from our clients, and then working with our clients to prove that they had these skills, and then letting the clients present that directly to the employers. And obviously it's been disappointing that we've not been able to meet as a partnership and have longer meetings with partners, because we've only been able to have short meetings online, and that's not the same, because you do learn so much more when you're in a room working together and attempting to solve problems collaboratively. So that's been a disappointment.
Trabajamos con un tipo de persona, con un colectivo que tiene su particularidad, diría yo. Lo que he dicho, no podemos hacer formación online. Muchas de las personas no tienen internet, no tienen un portátil para poder estar en contacto con ellos, y realmente dar esa formación online es muy difícil.
Per noi è un progetto importante, sia come Coeso ma soprattutto come Girasole, essenzialmente per due motivi. Il primo è lo scambio di buone pratiche, tu impari da quello che fanno gli altri, benché ci siano piccole differenze di tipo legislativo o di servizi che si occupano della questione. E la seconda, che è il vero valore dell'Europa, è quello di aver messo insieme, nonostante la pandemia, nel primo anno di progetto, operatori spagnoli, scozzesi e italiani messi insieme e fatta una formazione unica che va a promuovere la stessa metodologia di inserimento. Questo è il valore aggiunto, aver lavorato insieme con background diversi e aver raggiunto lo stesso tipo di risultato.
The European added value for the EMME project is the opportunity for partners from across the partnership to understand how they do things in their own countries and to learn from each other, because we all do things differently, but we all have the same interests at heart. We work with different employers, but we also understand the needs of employers. So for us, I think the best thing has been helping our partners understand how we work with employers and how to get employers as very positive partners as part of this project.
I work like 22 hours, like 2 days a week, okay. 8 to 8. I did feeding, like take them in toilet and clean the area, also sit with them chatting.
Non puoi dare per scontato che una persona si sveglia la mattina, cambia paese e sappia parlare la lingua perfettamente. Bisogna ci sia un rispetto e un impegno reciproco da entrambe le parti, e noi qui dentro stiamo cercando di fare questo tutti i santi giorni, con tanta fatica, con qualche sbandata, ma riusciamo a trovare sempre il percorso giusto. E con i ragazzi che hanno partecipato a questo progetto abbiamo fortunatamente avuto sempre un responso positivo al 100%.
Io penso che con aver fatto questo corso per me è molto grande, perché con questo posso lavorare con questo certificato. È per me una fortuna di averlo trovato qui. Io c'è 1 anno e 7 mesi. Io ho parlato con molto peruviana che sono la mia questo, e mi ha detto che nessuno posso studiare questo.
I'm saying like thank you very much to give me this opportunity to go the job, you know, to show me the way. So I'm saying thank you very much.
Il mio futuro è cambiato molto direi. Con le cose che ho imparato mi sono sicuro del mio sesto. Se un giorno trovo lavoro tipo questo lavoro, magari lo potrei seguire per bene come hanno chiesto loro. Si impara sempre, cercherò di imparare sempre. Io ero già, diciamo, cercato, mandato curriculum, tutto quanto. Mi ero già, diciamo, un po' buttato giù. Quindi ringrazio tutte le persone che mi hanno aiutato, che mi hanno dato una mano.
Well, thank you. The video is really emotional. So, well, just something that we would like to highlight, please. It's not need to raise your hand. You just have to write on the section above that is about questions, and we will be answering during the webinar. So now, please, Maggie Lennon, the floor is yours. She's from Bridge Programs from Scotland, so it's a pleasure. Welcome. Well, I guess Maggie is having a technical issues, so just wait. Dear Maggie. Well, we could maybe move forward from the Russia presentation. And Anna, please.
Or if you want to, I could go first. I don't know if the Scottish partner want to do their presentation together, as you wish.
Yeah, for Russia, it's great. Thank you, David. So now we're going to present the David slide. So thank you.
Well, at the meantime, first of all, thank you very much for having us, for having me as part of the Spanish consortium. I will share our experience. I probably could say the experience of Almería Coge, but also of the rest of the Spanish consortium. As you have heard, the rest was the University of Almería, especially the CEMIRI, and also Rambla Business Solution. And the third one is us, Almería Coge. So I will present a little bit what we did. I'll try to go forward. No. Can you get the next slide, please? Well, Almería Coge was basically involved in all of the phases. Basically, we decided as the Spanish consortium that we had to be involved in all of the activities, all three partners. To really get a strong collaboration, we needed to be involved in all of the different phases. So Almería Coge, for example, participated in phase 1 and contacting the enterprises, engagement, supporting Rambla Business Solution. Altogether, we created the EMME network, and we carried out the focus groups. And the responsibility of Almería Coge was also to carry out the workshop on diversity management, as we heard by Monia earlier. In phase 2, that was our responsibility to participate in the profiling of third country nationals. So we sent 2 of our technicians to the training in Glasgow. And then later on, with the help of the University of Almería, they trained the professionals at national level. And then we carried out almost 100 profiling of third country national within our organizations. The next slide, please. Also in the phase 3, all together, all 3 Spanish partners worked together to set up the training courses, the VET course, also the training on host country language, because the university had the budget. We are in touch with the final beneficiaries, the third country nationals, and we always need the support and the experience and expertise of Rambla Business Solution. In phase 4, also the same thing. We did the placement opportunities. We needed to be in touch, obviously, with the final beneficiaries, and the support from Rambla Business Solution on the placement, on the contact to the enterprises, and at the same time we needed the participation of the university. So like I said, basically in all of the activities, all three partners worked really, really close together. As all of the other partners, I think we had a lot of issues to overcome during the project. Most of them obviously were related to the COVID outbreak, but I will mention some other issues that we in our Almeriense Spanish context had to overcome. In phase one, for example, we have a really high percentage of small and medium-sized enterprises here in our region, most of them in the agricultural sector. So the diversity management as itself is not really perceived as a valuable thing for the enterprises. Monia told earlier a little bit about the approach on that, and it was really hard to implement this part because, like I said, the diversity management in our context is not seen as a value. After the COVID outbreak, we also had to refocus the needs analysis that we had carried out. And this is one thing that basically carried out through the whole project. Also in phase two, obviously we at time we did not we were not able to do face-to-face profiling, but that's just one thing of COVID, I guess. In phase three, this was really for us the core of the project and the training courses, and we had to refocus all the courses that we had planned because we planned to do courses in restoration, in hotels and bars, in kitchen and cooking, and obviously in this situation there was no possibility for job insertion afterwards. So we went back to the agricultural sector, one that didn't suffer as much the consequences of the COVID pandemic. Other problems that we had, the beneficiaries could not leave the municipality, so we had to set up the courses in their municipalities. The course size obviously was limited, and some of the existing facilities just did not comply with the COVID restrictions. So it was tough times. The same thing in the placement opportunities, because as in Scotland as well, and there's a really complicated situation on the Spanish job market. So to find employers that are able to contract people in the moment is tough in general. So this was tough as well. And quickly, the results and conclusions. As I told, and as you were able to see in the video, in the training courses, we did courses in food handling and risk prevention, food packaging, forklift course, and then we did a basic Spanish course. And also we did a Spanish course related to the agricultural sector with basic vocabulary. That was one of the things that the companies had asked for. And in the phase four, as Patricia said earlier, we made a huge effort to get placements, and right now I think we have over 20. I think we go into almost 25. Just some pictures. You've seen a lot of the pictures also in the video. This is one course that we had to set up in the gym, provided by the municipality of a really small village. That was the only facility that actually complied with the COVID restrictions. Then another course, you can see that a lot of women attended the course, and they even had to take their babies and young children along, because for our final beneficiary to take part in this kind of courses is a huge effort as well. And really quickly, one of the simulator of the forklift course. In the next picture, there's a practical part of the course. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this is the practical part of the course. You've seen it in the video as well. And the last picture is from a Spanish course in the capital of Almeria. that is all for me. Thank you. Here's the address if you have further questions. You can write either me personally, or you can look up information about the institution from the Spanish consortium. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David. And now Maggie Lennon from Bridge program from Scotland is going to present. So Maggie, the floor is yours.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay,
hello.
so sorry about that. I think I was logged in as a guest, not a presenter, but it's fine now. So just want to quickly go through Bridge's experience of the project, which, as others have said, was made very difficult because of COVID. But I think despite that, we did extremely well in achieving what we set out to achieve. Can I have the next slide, please? So we were the lead partner of the Scottish group, which meant we were involved in all the work packages. And because Glasgow City Council had some problem with their involvement, we had to take over a large part of their work too. Could you go back to the original, the slide before? Thank you. So in work package 2, engaging with EMME enterprises, this very much played to our strength. It's something that Bridges is very involved with. We work with employers at every stage of what we deliver anyway, so we didn't really have any difficulty in attracting employers and enterprises to come to the forums. They were happy to do so, and they were happy to take part in needs analysis. The diversity training workshops, some had to be done online because we delayed doing some of them, and then COVID hit, which was unfortunate. But in order to make the diversity workshops even stronger, we did produce a number of online training materials and toolkits that they could take away and use. And some of the employers have told us that they shared it themselves widely, they cascaded it themselves through their organizations once we'd done the initial training. In work package 3, we developed and delivered the enhanced skills profile training for partners when they came to Glasgow, which seems like a million years ago, when we could actually all be in one room. And the training was extremely well received. It went over 2 days. We carried out 75 of 100 skills profiles that Scotland needed to do, with our colleagues at Glasgow College, Clyde College doing the other 25. Some of the third country national skills profiles had to be done online because it run on into the COVID period. And that had its own problems. It took longer. It was sometimes harder to engage with people, but we finally managed to get them done. And with Clyde College, we trained 15 practitioners in how to use the skills profiling tools. And we wrote the skills handbook, which is part of the dissemination material. In work package 4, we carried out active job search training with 60 third country nationals. Most of this we were able to do face-to-face. 1 or 2 we had to wait and do online. It's very much our approach with people, as we believe very strongly that finding a job is almost a full-time job in itself, but you can actually teach people to look for a job. And once they have those skills, they should be able to continue to go on and use them continuously. And we're very fortunate. Some of our clients who were on the project have managed to find work, which is quite exceptional given the difficult circumstances we're facing. In work package 5, we took over the running of the EMME guidance desk to match third country nationals with their skills profiles with employers offering placements. And we had a huge number of placements offered, which was in line with our normal engagement with employers. But obviously, because of COVID, we didn't manage to run them all. And in the end, I think it's 25 that we've managed to do in total. But as I mentioned in the video, we did some additional work looking at client skills, looking at specific skills that employers have told us they wanted, and giving people a chance to present directly to employers about those skills. And the really good news about the placements is all of the employers who offered placements originally and who engaged with the project have confirmed that now that things are opening up again, they will continue to work for us. So although the project ends at the end of May, we will still be seeing positive outcomes because of EMME, at least for the rest of this year. So we're very pleased about that. And in work and package 6, we contributed to the EMME video that you've just seen, and I think it's a great video. So well done to everyone who was involved with that. We were fortunate that we were able to feature one of our clients who had managed to get an offer of employment, having taken part in an EMME placement in the care sector, interestingly enough. So although the care sector has been difficult to engage with, of course, they're actually desperately needing more staff, and we know that we will be getting placements and job opportunities in the coming months. We're in the process of arranging our dissemination events, and we've been sending out some of the material that was sent to us. Could I have the next slide, please? The issues that we overcame were the same as everyone. COVID was just unbelievable. Who could have, we just couldn't have assumed that that was going to happen. It meant that, as I've said, engagement with employers was severely curtailed, as was most of second year's activities. We had a little bit of a window in late July when we were able to open up a bit, but sadly Glasgow, being Scotland's biggest city, went into another major lockdown from October until the end of April. So that's been 6.5 months, which was a big chunk of the extension, where we really thought we were going to be able to do all the catching up with placements in that extension till May, but it hasn't worked out that way in Scotland. We even had problems with our video because there were restrictions on what filmmakers could do, and we actually, I must admit, we slightly broke the law. We had to film it quicker than we were technically meant to be able to, but it was the only way we could get it done in time. We did therefore have to concentrate on sectors that weren't so badly affected by the pandemic, and as I said in the video, not every industry did close down, but a lot of the placement offers that we had have, as I say, been postponed. We had to move some of our job search training to TCNs online. This is a problem. A lot of our clients don't have the appropriate equipment to study online. They tend to use their telephones a lot, and that's not really suitable. So we did manage through another project to get access to some tablets and laptops, and we've had to lend them to clients so that they're able to take part. But I think it's worth noting that the Scottish Refugee Council in Scotland have done major research into the digital issues with migrants and refugees, and have found that they are the least likely to be confident in using online training and materials, who either don't have the equipment to use or have data poverty and therefore cannot necessarily use their phones, if that's the only equipment they have for study, or don't have efficient broadband. So I think that's worthwhile making the point when we do our final report, that it isn't simply a case of just moving everything online, that the clients we've all been working with have had a particular issue with that. Some skills profiling also had to happen remotely rather than face-to-face. Businesses were under huge pressure. So the fact that they were still continuing and willing to engage with us when they had all the other things that they had to face was really quite impressive, and we're very, very grateful to them. And we've also been doing some research along with other agencies in Glasgow, and we found that confidence and motivation of our client group, which is traditionally quite high, has been really badly affected by the COVID pandemic. And many people are feeling even more isolated than normal. They're already very far from their families and their loved ones, and some of these people are living in countries where the pandemic is still very badly out of control. And that lack of motivation and confidence has made it difficult for some of our clients to engage with us. And we are very concerned about the long-term effects on the future employment prospects of our client group. Next slide, please. However, it's not all doom and gloom. As I say, we had to make the best of it, and the initial level of employer engagement was very encouraging. We weren't really surprised. We know that we've got a very good relationship with employers. We know how to approach them. Employers like to be asked what they want from a future workforce. And employers who feel that you're working with them and doing something collaboratively are much more likely to be engaged. And the training and diversity, as I said, also led to us producing additional toolkits, which employers have continued continue to find useful. Skills recognition is one of the areas that Bridges is an expert in, and we're working on a major national programme at the moment to try and promote skills recognition across Scotland. The partners who came to Glasgow enjoyed the training. We got an extremely good response in terms of our evaluation, as did the professionals that we trained in the methodology. And the skills handbook, which we've been sharing with people, has also been well received, as was the job search training with clients. They really enjoyed it. They found it really, really useful. As I say, placements did go ahead, but they were different from what we'd meant to. But as I said before, all the employers who've offered placements before the pandemic have confirmed they will go ahead after things get back to normal. So the legacy of EMME will continue. Next slide, please. As I say, the timing was unfortunate, but we couldn't have imagined this, and I'm sure that's affected every project in Europe, and I'm sure the impact would have been greater had the pandemic not happened. The thing that really is concerning us, and where projects like EMME will have a real importance going forward, is the impact on people's future employment. We know from previous recessions in Scotland how difficult it is for people from colour and people from overseas to compete in a competitive labour market when there are very many more local, white, Indigenous, Scottish people out of work. And therefore, the links with employers that we have created and the tools will be even more crucial. It's a shame we can't sort of review this in a year's time as a follow-up to see just how effective we've been in mitigating the worst of the problems that our clients have to face. And also we thought the guidance desk methodology worked really well. So we're in the process of developing a programme with 9 local authorities in different parts of Scotland. And we have decided to include the guidance desk methodology in that project as a way of offering really intense help, not just to the local authorities in those areas, but the employers in those areas that these local authorities are going to be working with. So there's going to be a real spread of impact of EMME. So the conclusion overall is pandemic was awful, timing was a shame, but despite all that, I think we as a partnership have done surprisingly well, and I'm confident that the impacts and the benefits of EMME will continue long into the future. And I think the last slide has just got my email address on it, and I'm very happy if anyone wants to contact me for more information, either about the new project with local authorities or any more specifics about what we did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maggie, for your work. And now the last experience, partner experience, is going to be presented by Rasha Tyndall and Anna Murray from Glasgow Clyde College. So please, the floor is yours, Rasha, whenever you want.
Thank you. Yes, this is Glasgow Clyde College, and the 2 people who were on this project from this college was Anna Murray, my colleague, and myself. Next slide. Okay. When we started the project, Anna and I, we basically, that was the initial stage where the lead organization here in Scotland, Bridges Programme, had provided the training for the professionals. And during this training, we got to meet our partners from Italy and Spain. We also got to learn about the skills profile toolkit. And from that, we could actually deliver our training. Next slide, yeah. So Anna and I have organized training sessions here in Glasgow Clyde College, and those sessions were for a number of employees from a number of organizations, very diverse organizations, such as the Scottish Refugee Council, Refugee Survival Trust. All of these organizations do work with asylum seekers and refugees, and they do have employability departments in them as well. So the training went really well, but we had to shorten it for time commitment with other employees. However, the feedback from the training was, as you can see, networking with partners. We actually got to learn about how employability is dealt with within Glasgow before how it's dealt with in Europe. We also learned and shared the methodology, the STAR methodology here in Glasgow, and included that in the training. The introduction to the EU toolkit, and also the use of interview techniques and in-depth discussion with these organizations. We did hear from the people whom we trained that it could be time consuming. Next slide. Yeah, so after that, we then arranged for 25 students or beneficiaries from Glasgow Clyde College to come to meet with us and with the people we trained from the different organizations and to be profiled. So, and during this experience, this was really good in terms of like, actually when sitting with the beneficiary, with the students who have completely different experience back home to the job market. They got to learn about the UK job market. They also got to articulate and speak about their skills that they had, but they never thought that they would be able to articulate about them, or they didn't think, just because they didn't go to university to learn them or to colleges, they didn't think they did possess these skills, such as, for example, caring for elderly people. You know, many people come from countries in the Middle East and countries where they naturally care for grandparents and stuff. So it was actually great. We did learn from our students as much as they did learn from us, and it was good in terms of like they got closer to the job market during these profiles. They found the process straightforward and kind of not easy, but okay. And also they managed to understand how to conduct themselves and conduct themselves in an interview for a job, or apply for jobs. As Maggie did mention, applying for jobs, looking for a job is a full-time job, and it's extremely difficult for students with limited English. So in the next slide. Yeah, and after we profiled, we then moved into organizing and delivering the 3 VET courses and language courses. So here, as you can see, automotive, we chose courses where they're high in employability, and the automotive was actually the only course that the students kept on coming to college for it, because we couldn't send them with a car to fix at home. And so, but we did have small number of students coming into the college, and many of these students are either working with in garages at the moment. Some of them, when we interviewed them last week, they actually want to move into higher education and go into university to study mechanical engineering, and some are applying for modern apprenticeship. So, I mean, the pandemic is not making things easy in terms of finding jobs, or of course, in terms of the modern apprenticeship, but it's much easier to gain a place at university level. And the next slide, and this is the barbering. The barbering is a very crowded course. Many people want to do barbering, and most of these people you see in this picture are actually working as barbers. Again, unfortunately, their shops were shut. They stopped working during the pandemic. They just only reopened. Now, this was they came to college a few times, and then it was impossible to get them here face to face. So we sent them with these creepy model heads back home, and they did it on Zoom as well. And the next slide, this is the social care course, was completely done distantly, and we couldn't actually put them in placement during through the college. We didn't put them through placement due to COVID-19. And the last one, and this is the language course. This is my colleague Anna teaching her class, which was 3 English language courses, 52 hours, and they all learned via Zoom. It was difficult, it was challenging. We had to get in touch with lots of organizations to provide IT support and IT equipment for students who, as Maggie again said, most of them did it on the phone, which was very difficult. But the positive thing, not only they learned language, English language, they also actually developed their IT skills. And the last slide, I think this is the conclusion. I think overall it was a success, and it was our pleasure to work with partners from Italy and Spain. I think EMME, as Anna and I discussed it after we met the class, it's a great, valuable tool for migrants towards employability and employment. And I think the legacy will go on, as again Maggie said. We really enjoyed it. The one thing, unfortunately, was COVID-19, which came in the way and maybe made the implementation of the project a bit difficult. Thank you very much. And if you do have any questions, I will share my email address on the chat.
Thank you so much, Rasha. It has been quite interesting presentation. And please, we will move forward to the next part of the webinar that is related to the 5 international good practices. So please, Jim Anderson from Glasgow Clyde College will present the first project. So it's yours.
Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to be here today, and thanks for the opportunity for Glasgow Clyde College to present one of their new projects, actually one of the last projects probably under the Erasmus banner. Glasgow Clyde College is it's the 3rd largest college in Scotland, and we have roughly about 27,000 students in it. My role in the college is European an international project manager and also the funding manager for the college. Next slide, please. The USO project is what I'm going to speak about because it fits nicely into the labour market inclusion for migrant populations. The USO project is European Entrepreneurship for Speakers of Other Languages. And as I said, it's just a new project. It actually started 31st of December, but we would call it the 1st of January. And it runs for 2 years. At the moment, we have 5 partners that I've worked with over the years. Some partners I've actually worked with for the last 30 odd years, and they've been a good partnership. They come from Poland, that is 36.6 cc, in Italy, NET, Finland, Omnia, and from Germany in Berlin, we have ABU, which is an adult training centre. The idea of the project was to develop two intellectual outcomes and 2 main outputs. The 2 main outputs were training materials and a toolkit which was going to contain many fact sheets. And in the toolkit would have training content, which the idea is that it can be developed into all of the different languages of the project, and people can go in and pick out fact sheets whenever they need it. So the idea was to set it up to suit various different employment sectors regardless, and it's to provide students with entrepreneurships and self-employment skills. The materials themselves will be eventually hosted on the college platform, which we are now using a new platform for VLE. Some people may have heard of this, it's called Canvas. It's a very good interactive tools for the teachers, and it's very easy to use. And the idea behind it is once we're finished with the project, everybody can have access to all the materials, all the fact sheets, everything that's inside the toolbox, and the training materials that's been developed. The training materials, as I said, is going to have various different things, guides, resources where students can go to find more information about self-employment. Next slide, please. So how did we start? We started prior to the project was approved, partners met and we had a discussion. We done a very small mapping exercise to see the type of skills that was necessary. and the type of training materials that have to be developed. Now, what we've done here was we decided that on the application form, we would only have 2 intellectual outcomes. And in theory, we probably could get away with 1 intellectual outcome, but we thought we'd do a little bit more on the mapping exercises. So we've done, from the initial survey prior to applications, we decided to do a more extensive training needs analysis survey across the partnership. So this was a much deeper exercise, and the 5 partners each had 5 or 6 different local regional experts, trainers, teachers, counsellors, guidance experts, or other entrepreneurship people who had started their own business, and they could give us some guidance as to the type of materials or the type of learnings that the student needed to move into self-employment and entrepreneurship. I should have mentioned that the project is aimed solely at migrants aged between the age of 16 and 40 years of age. So after the training needs analysis, which has been going quite well, it completed just last week. And initially we had looked at developing 4 times 40 hours training units, which my maths is not very good there by the looks of it. But what happened is we ended up developing a 5th unit. So after the training needs analysis was done, we decided that there was another additional unit that we had to put into it. And this additional unit was going to cover employability skills, core skills, and meta skills. Meta skills being the big thing that's being pushed just now across most of the work-based training, and also through all of the apprenticeship programs that we're running here in Scotland, from the foundation apprenticeship, modern apprenticeship, and the graduate apprenticeship program. The employability, oh, sorry, thank you. Okay, move on, next one please, next slide. So as I said earlier on, we decided to move from 4 units onto 5 units, and these are the 4 units that's being developed. So each partner organisation is developing one of the units. The units will then be proofread, peer reviewed. Once it's been peer reviewed, etc., it will be then wrote into the 5 languages of the programme, which is, as mentioned, Poland, Italy, Germany, Finnish, and Scottish even. English. So the units that we decided to develop is business formation, which includes, well, you can see on the screen, I'm not going to talk too much about it, enterprise, entrepreneurship, different types of sources of funding, sources of support. That would be maybe going through the Business Gateway or through the Chamber of Commerce. And then we decided to do an ethical enterprise unit, which is looking at social unit enterprise opportunities and green initiatives, a wee bit of recycling, environmental waste, etc., etc. Marketing and businessing, market research, target materials, marketing mix, digital marketing, and various other different types of things. And developing business awareness, that was done by the Finnish partner. And then we decided to, from the trainees analysis, that we would introduce a 5th unit, which is the employability skills program, which is CV, PS writing, developing social skills, vocational profile, job search, work experience, and of course the new meta skills, which is being introduced into the programme. So the fact sheets will be very important, and these are the things that will come out. The fact sheets is going to give information on local funding, startup support for your business, resources with who to contact, how you would introduce a new company in your own particular country. So that became quite complicated, and we shall develop that going forward. Next slide, please. What we're hoping to do from this programme was to develop pathways for self-employment. Again, as I said, mentioned, this is going to be through the VLE Canvas programme that we're now using in the college. And it's going to give a more defined route for migrants to give them the chance to move into self-employment and to move into entrepreneurship. And as I say, the platform, it's new to the college. We've been doing a lot of work on that. We've been training we do daily training on it, believe it or not, a 2-minute video every day for the teaching staff in the college, so they can get more up to speed to how to develop this programme. And when it is done, it will give a full VLE programme, which will be completely accessible to anybody at all. Basically, you don't have to be a member of the college staff. This has been brought in solely because of COVID. Everybody's talking about COVID, but because we've got so many students working online, we were using Zoom. Zoom wasn't too great. We used Team was okay for certain things, but we've introduced Canvas, and it's a fantastic training tool. It's easy, accessible, and it's got lots of self-help available for staff. Sorry, my lights go out when I stop moving about, so I'm into darkness now. So what we've done at the moment, we have the training materials which has been agreed and being developed. We have a dedicated website which is uso.org. We have done evaluation reports on a kind of monthly basis at the moment just to see how things have gone. We have created the Transnational Partnership Agreement, and we have now introduced stakeholders, and we've had a few kind of local meetings, more so because of the training needs analysis document which has been developed. Rasha herself has actually been doing a lot of work, and she spoke to our guidance and different various guidance organisations. And the next slide, please. What we intend to do is we're trying to engage with just 50 trainees, that's 10 trainees per partner country. From that, after the training has been completed, we are hoping that maybe at least 2 from each partner organisation will be in a position to, or beneficiary will be in a position to apply to maybe Business Gateway or some funding, how to start up their own company, and we'll get full support from the college and the rest of the partnerships. We're going to disseminate to approximately 10,000 people, which is quite straightforward because the college having 27,000 students, we'll hit that target very, very, very quickly. Over the course of the programme, we're going to train 4 trainers per country, and then they'll train the participants. And all participants have to be core skilled, and they have to be core skilled, and Rasha and Anna, who are continuing this project, will be doing some vocational English with them. And over the back, we've also to contact some environmental organisations. For instance, in Glasgow, that could be Zero Waste, some enterprise and trust in Scotland, different organisations like that, and also the local councils. And we have to disseminate, and we have to work with 25 different partners across the project. Again, that'll be 5 partners per project. That could be Bridges. Maggie's agreed to talk to us about that one, Scottish Refugee Council, BMS, Glasgow City Council, etc., etc. Next slide, please. So that's a kind of very brief overview of the USOL project. I don't have my email address up there, but I can pass it out. And if anybody is interested in more information about it, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim, for your presentation. Now it's the turn of my namesake, Begoña Arenas. She is from Spain. She's from the Innovation Training Center. So please feel free to present sample project.
Thank you, Begoña, from one Begoña to another. Hello, everybody. I am here also supporting Ramla Business Solution as a partner of the EMME project, as we've been working together. I'm going to present you the EMME project. I will try to do it. Okay, that is not working. I will say next, and you do as in the rest of speakers. I'm going to introduce you about the simple project. This project was submitted some 18 months ago in Sweden, in the national agency. It is an Erasmus project. It's a key A 204, focusing on adult education. And the main focus is to promote the well-being and the social integration of migrants, but putting the focus on something that's many times regarding diversity and integration is not considered. And it is the trauma and how hard it is for some migrants to face integration while they are bringing from their countries and from the trip, a very heavy traumas that they cannot deal with on their own. So the idea of this project was to protect the migrants from a centered approach, from the human-centered approach, in which the person is located in the center and supported according to their needs. So in this case, we noticed that the women were actually the target migrant population that suffered more from traumatic experience, particularly in the trips. So this was the main focus of the Simple project, to support them and to train the supporting staff in all these issues regarding how to support persons that bring over heavy luggage. So we worked on this even though also we had the pandemic in the middle, but the idea from the beginning was to ensure the protection of the migrants that were victims of trafficking, exploitation, traumatic experience, and abuse. And first supporting them with this, and then supporting and enhancing the job opportunities. That is, once we can help you with your personal problems, then you're able to face a professional future in a more successful way. Next, please. So we were targeting migrant women, particularly that were victims of trafficking and suffered from violence, not only in the countries where they came from, but also during the trip to their host country. The project countries were, as I said, it was Sweden where the project was submitted. So the project was promoted by an association of women in Sweden, in Malmö. Then also in Italy, we had two partners, a company, and then also a ONG that was working already, Antoniano, which was already working using these techniques and putting them in place. So the idea was to share them and enlarge them with the kind of tools that we could use. Also Germany, that was Arbeit und Leben in Hamburg, which was an agency for employment. Also the Netherlands, that was an association that worked a lot with the use of art and images, and they supported the tool production. And the UK, which was also a company in Birmingham that was also working with human-centered approaches and mentoring approaches to support migrants. And of course in Spain, it was ourselves and also working together with Rambla. So it was not only focusing on migrant women, but also all those supporting staff to support them and help them learn how to help these women and to select them, how they could adapt to their needs and how could they give them guidance on the whole process. So, and of course, also institutions and services supporting migrants, including associations and public authorities at local level, so as to make them more aware of this situation. Go ahead, please. Next. Okay. So the Erasmus projects are organized according to outputs, which is like results in some way that are now called in the new Erasmus program, in which we followed a progressive stages in which we made first a research in all the partners included, in which we just looked for experiences that would support our work. So what was going on? We experience were introduced in the different countries. For example, in Spain, we found a very interesting initiative promoted by Universidad Complutense in Madrid that were dealing with art to support migrants in their expression so as to help them overcome the traumas. So it was a particularly interesting initiative, but we found that in almost every country, there were initiatives that were similar. So our intention was not to reinvent the wheel and try to incorporate what was already going on and the practices that were considered good practices to incorporate them in our work. So then in that frame, we modeled a stage system to support the migrant women. Because of the pandemic, we could not meet. Actually, we had a learning event in which all of the partners and their agents were going to take part and being trained And we had to do it online last year in May. We had to do it online using Zoom, but I have to say that it worked quite well, as it was with this supporting staff. It was not involving migrants. And so in this case, it worked quite well, and it served as a basis to develop the model and to develop the materials and the tools. So it was successful in a way, and it helped us refocus the project. So starting from then, from May last year, it helped us refocus and see how we could handle and we could end up. The materials and the tools included some videos, explanatory videos of how the supporting staff can help the migrants, and also the use of some ICT tools. Actually, we used Miro, which is a free access online tool in which the images can be uploaded and selected. And it can be actually, as I said, the pandemic helped us looking at tools that in most cases had to be online and available online so that the agents could use them with the migrants directly. And these materials and tools and videos and tools was followed by the learning paths. The learning pathways were workshops to help and support the migrant women. I will explain each of one later. To help the migrant women get integrated in the labor market. Once they were supported in the process of confrontation with their traumas, they were supported to enter the labor markets. And then finally, the guidelines trying to explain and give good practices and recommendations for all this to work in the different contexts. It would be done according to the different countries. So thank you. So we were based on the methodological framework was based on 3 pillars. The phase 1 was a reduction of symptoms and stabilization. Then was a narrative with images. It was not verbal. It was only with images in a way that was not aggressive to the people. And then the last one was the integration. So the stabilization is to feel safe. The second was narration through images. And then the last one was the integration. I can go on. I can work on a personal and professional perspective and see my future. Go on next. So the materials and tools was composed by a handbook in which all this process was explained in a way that was easily understandable. On the first side, we had videos that were implemented with subtitles in all the languages of the project, including, of course, Italian, including Spanish, Swedish, German, Dutch. And then the use of Miro also to how to get the images so that the migrants could select the images and tell their story through different images. We used a book called The Arrival by Shantan that was kindly provided by his author so that we could use it freely. And all the images were very based on imagination, so that they were not, they could not be images that could make the victims suffer, so that they could select and explain according to what they wanted. And actually, when we tried it ourselves and we tried it with victims, it worked quite well in a way that they could use it feeling not too disturbed by the use of the images to tell their story. Go on, next. And then we are now in the middle of finalizing the workshops for career guidance. This is very similar to what I've been hearing here with the good practice and with the EMME project in the different countries. The first one was a basic learning path for employability. So what to include, how to get ready for employment. The second one was called Social Media Spy, which was try to see how you look in social networks, in whatever you use, in Instagram, Facebook, so that you can see what employers see about you if they're going to look for your profile on the internet. So it was making them aware that the social media can actually be a very powerful tool, also a very negative tool if you don't use it correctly. So it's to make them aware of how interesting it can be and how dangerous also. And then the last one was about making up their own CV, using Europass and using other EU tools like the profiling tools for sending and for being actively employability searches. So that as it was said here before, it can be the search for employment can be trained and can be supported. So, and this was more or less the aim of the 3 workshops that we're now finalizing. I have to end up saying that in our case, instead of working directly with the migrant women, what we did was swift and work with the support staff. So because for the pandemic, it was much easier to train them, the support staff that had to work with women, than working with them directly. So this is what we proposed to the partnership and to the national agency in Sweden, and they agreed. And in our case, it has worked quite well, actually, because we've had a lot of requests for being part of this training and of this project. You have all the information in in our Facebook, in our website, and in the project website, which is so simpleproject.eu. Okay, so I'm done. Begoña, it's your turn now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Begoña. It has been really interesting and neat project. So now it's time to move to Italy. Isabella Belcari is going to present the eVoice project from CESBOT. So Isabella, it's your turn. Feel free to start.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the visualization of my face, which is probably not the best visualization possible, but we're experiencing down of the land internet, if I may call it this way, and I'm now connected by my smartphone. So luckily, my slides are being showed by the organization. Thank you very much for this help. And thanks to the EMME consortium for giving us the opportunity to get to know more about such interesting projects and to introduce our EU voice. I'm Isabella Belcari, and I'm speaking now on behalf of CESBOT, which is the regional Tuscany section of the service centers for volunteering organizations and the third sectors in general. They are a second-level organization which provides support, training, and any kind of service to volunteering organizations. EU Voice project, of which CESBOT is the coordinator of a consortium of 6, is actually about volunteering. EU Voice is for European volunteering and integration through cultural experience. It is also, as well as EMME, an AMIF project, but it was submitted on the topic of building local communities, also by way of volunteering, intended to third country nationals integration. So it was submitted in 2017, but actually the project started at the end of 2019. And after 1 year and a couple of months of life was also impacted by COVID, as the whole Europe and the whole world, but we'll see that later. And its basic aims were to enhance the social participation and intercultural communication between third country nationals and EU citizens based on common learning and volunteering for cultural heritage. In this way, besides in fostering communication and integration and reciprocal knowledge between migrants and locals, there were some side effects which are not so unimportant actually, which is to increase the level of competence of the participants, both in soft and hard skills, to build a stronger cooperation network among the partnership, but also each partner in their context with locally operating organizations, both public, private, civil society organizations, all working in cultural fields, and in general to reinforce, to strengthen in the participants a sense of belonging to a common European space. An interesting thing which you may hear in the documentary film on the project, which I will mention later again, is one of the trainers, a migrant herself from Nigeria, saying, "This is home." What I always tell to my trainees is, this is home. And actually being together, working together in a horizontal way for a common goal in a common space was one of the things we wanted to obtain and to foster with our project. Some data on the project itself: 6 partners, as I previously said, from 5 EU countries. Of these 5 countries, 4 had activities of both training and volunteering implemented. It was Italy, Greece, the Republic of Ireland, and UK. As we said, learning and improving one's skills was one of the targets of the goals of our project. And that was not expected to happen spontaneously, of course, but we planned in the project proposal a training for each participant, a group training, but also sometimes a very specific one, because a kind of a training on the job, learning by doing, with a mentoring inside the organization one was hosted by, and of course volunteering activities, which were not just meant to go there and do something, but with a purpose, with a consistency, and of course in keeping with the motivation and the interests of the person taking part. Target group and goals. Our training was meant to be up to 40 hours. And what we learned from the project is that for most adults, though motivated, 40 hours must be handled quite carefully. At the beginning, we expected to do a complete training before letting people go in their volunteering activities. Instead, we learned that it works much better, an alternation of training and practice that was much more suitable for many reasons for adult participants with many engagements, and sometimes not so much used to sit there and have a training, though a very interactive one. And a 25-day or 125 hours of volunteering experience. The choice of days or hours depends on the fact that sometimes volunteers found themselves engaged in very intense and rather short activities in duration in a number of days, like a theater festival or a cinema festival. So it was a kind of activity which had some days of preparation, of course, but then the core of the engagement was very intense on a very short time. So we gave the chance to choose for the best for everyone in terms of duration. And another goal we had was to have mixed groups of third country nationals and non-third country nationals. We had this target of 70% of third country nationals and of a percentage of women, for whom we provided some support if required, like babysitting, to be free to attend the training or the volunteering activities. The kind of context we worked in was the setting of the participant organizations, which have a quite wide scope. Chessboard has a regional scope, and Tuscany is one of the widest and most populated regions of Italy. Thessaloniki is also a main city of Greece. Ipswich is also quite an important center in the southwest of the UK. Kells is a town in a rural setting, but our areas could be compared as we worked mainly in a urban or suburban context, which was in the nearest surroundings of our venues, because we also discovered that we had to be all the time very near in many ways to the organizations working in our project framework and to the volunteers participating, because, well, after all, it resulted that it was quite a new thing, especially for Greece and Italy. Cultural volunteering is not so spread at all. It is more popular in UK and Ireland, but in any case, it resulted in our approach resulted to be quite paneuristic one under some respects. So we had to be very engaged and always be at hand when required. Cultural activities we could involve were really of many kinds. We had, as host organizations for our volunteers, libraries and archives, groups of social theater, film festivals, as I said, heritage sites, museums. That was mainly before the outburst of the COVID pandemic. Our project had a long stop as far as the core activities of training and volunteering are concerned for almost 1 year. We also had to ask for an extension. We should have finished by March this year. Instead, we are going on until the end of August 2021, thanks to the extension we got. And luckily, spring and summertime of this year seemed to be quite favorable for the implementation of what we could not implement in 2020 as for training and volunteering activities. Anyway, we had also to redesign most of our activities because many cultural organizations or services cannot host or do not feel free to host people outside paid staff for safety reasons, mainly connected to the pandemic, of course. So while some organizations anyway can be found who are free enough or brave enough, I cannot tell, to host volunteers, we obtain a permission from our project officer to organize as cultural activities small groups of people with trainers and tutoring when needed of both third country nationals and nationals to an EU citizen to discuss and create digital stories, audiovisual stories, or photographic stories about some topic of cultural interest, like inhabit places, for instance. In Italy, we have 3 groups working on this, but we also have 1 group at the moment working in an archive. So this is more or less the framework we had to move with and the big change we underwent and our project underwent because of COVID. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, in detail, these are the project partners and the stakeholders of our project. Chesvot, as I said, is a service provider for volunteering organization and third country sector in general since 2 years. Coeso, you know very well because it's one of the EMME partner. United Society of Balkans is an NGO from Thessaloniki, and until this project, they worked mainly on youth exchanges. MIF Partnership is rural development center mainly, but they also have a section working with volunteering organizations and providing volunteering occasions to anyone asking for them. Volunteering Matters is instead, I think, the biggest charity providing services for fostering volunteering in the UK, and we worked with the southwest section, which is based in Ipswich. And instead is an Austrian organization, specializes in communication and dissemination, and it is supporting specifically our project dissemination and valorization activities. Stakeholders, of course, were the third-country nationals, both resident and asylum seeker. What do I mean by this? We found out, one of the things we found out and learned is that in our countries, the scenery is quite different. As for TCNs, in Ireland and UK, they had a lot of long-time residents, families, people of any age. Of course, asylum seekers or refugees are present in any, unfortunately, because of the causes, which are wars and poverty, are present in any European country now, but in Ireland and UK, they had mostly people who lived there since quite a long time, and yet they had like sometimes a bubble around them, and were very glad to be addressed by the proposal of EU Voice. While in Italy and Greece, we had asylum seekers or refugees prevailing, definitely. EU locals, of course, because as I said, our idea was to mix people, make people meet, make people discuss, work together, and volunteering in the cultural fields, especially in Italy, for instance, speaking by experience, is something which really can and needs to be fostered and can provide really great experience to anyone. Public institutions or civil society organizations working for culture, of course, because sometimes they cannot think about volunteers as a research, and of course the local communities where these institutions or organizations work, which can benefit of wider or more suitable services to their needs, thanks also to the volunteering help, or even new services. We have one historic archive, which is about to open in the nearest months, COVID allowing, because our volunteers are working under the guidance of trainers and the tutor to put it in conditions to be visited by the public, which is, of course, a benefit for the local community, which is who is going to discover something they don't know about their history, thanks to a volunteering group. Next slide, please. Okay, as I said, our project is now working full steam because we too have 1 year of almost inactivity to catch up with. It is going to end with the month of August. Our volunteering activities and training too, because as I said, training and volunteering go together in our present practice, are probably going on until the end of July 2021. Maybe someone will end in August too, because we don't put limit actually. We are glad to know that someone of the previously participating groups is going on beyond the goals proposed by EU Voice, which means very good tells us very good things about their experience. To date, we trained about 254 volunteers, so 185 are in action to the present date. Valorization activities. Our documentary film, which is shared on our Facebook based EU Voice project, and also is uploaded on the YouTube channel. When you will receive the slides, you will have the exact link here, and I can also link it to the chart. We're going to have in the next weeks national conference in all the 5 partner countries and one final conference, international one, organized by our awesome partner. And all of our partners and CHASWA 2 is going to take part in TV and radio programs. Of course, we have a website, a Facebook page, which I will show in the last slide, but mostly, next slide, please. What connects EU Voice to EMME and to labor integration for the migrant is its relation to employability. Of course, our main topic was volunteering. Of course, all of our partner organizations in some measure work with volunteers and volunteering and for them. But what happens is that volunteering, as any other activity in our everyday life, both private and public, contributes to enhance and build up our skills, which come into play when we go looking for a job or for any kind of better opportunities in the work field. And already the first group of volunteers in the monitoring and evaluation activities showed that they perceive, and also their host organization perceived, enhancement of social competences, language skills, social skills, knowledge of the territory, awareness of the place they live in, a sense of belonging, increasing motivation to participate in social life, recognizing this as an opportunity to build up a net of relationships which are important for personal well-being, but also to build up a laboral future or enhance and make better their present. Technical competences, just to make some examples, we had people learning or bettering their competences in gardening, in simple refurbishment activities, simple, say, marketing activities like promoting the festival, the library services, whatever activity they were involved with, receptioning, which is great, as everyone who has ever tried it knows, for making you more confident, empowering you in the relation with the outer world. And God knows how important this is when you come to your job and job research. More specific things like those involved in the theater festival, social theater festival, were involved as builders and protagonists of a performance. So they made better or learned their skills in acting, dancing, singing. Now, in our post-COVID activities, digital storytelling with all the ICT skills connected is also a skill which is getting better. And this is also most needed because what we realized in the 2020 year is that online training and online volunteering is really, really hard to implement because of lack of technical infrastructure many times, but also because skills are not so developed at all in most people. So we really, we were really forced to suspend our activities because personal contact and being there with your body and mind and all your faculties is really a core of this kind of project, this kind of activities. Host organizations also benefited very much from confronting, sometimes for the first time, with skills and the competence which are needed for international and intercultural group of people working, be their staff or volunteers, on the same things. Sometimes in some areas of Europe, this is not so common yet, especially in small towns, outside big urban centers. So it was really something host organizations learned, and in the future, I think it will be very useful to them for the same reasons that EMME brought to the fore, that is being able to handle diversity and to see it as a resource for a working organization. And in the end, the project partners could also better understand and learn a lot about similarities and differences, both in their context of operations and in their way of the ways they have to work under the regulation point of view, or simply working habits, and how important it is to be able to involve and support all citizens, any kind of person you may come in touch with. This is something you never learn enough, because many times also a bubble, though big it is, can still be a bubble. And being able to come out from your comfort zone, as we usually say, it's not just for the single person, it's also for the organizations. I think for CESVOT and for many of us, this project was challenging in a good sense. It pushed us out of our comfort zone and helped us reach to new people in new ways, which was really a benefit for all of us participating. These are our contacts, both as an organization and, of course, for all our project, social and web channels. Thank you for your attention and for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Isabella. We will move quickly to Spain. It's time for Pablo Morales from Chamber of Commerce of Seville. He's not been able to attend finally, but we have managed it. So we are going to present Athena, the project that he is in charge of. So we will start.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Pablo Morales and I work for the Chamber of Commerce of Seville in Andalusia, Spain. I would like to thank INCOMA for the invitation to present this practice based on our project Athena, which was approved by the program EMME. And this project started just a few months ago in January, but I think it addresses certain focus that was not enough developed before. Well, Athena is based, Athena, the full title is Approaches to Valorize the High Entrepreneurial Potential of Migrant Women to Contribute to Their Social and Economic Integration. It is a plural and international project which has the aim to contribute to the economic and social integration of migrant women in the European Union society by improving the services of entrepreneurship support oriented to migrant women and creating a specific path on entrepreneurship for them. As you all probably know, because you work in this field, there are several studies which illustrate the gaps of integration outcomes between men and women in the European Union. These gaps are part of a vicious cycles in which lower economic opportunities affect social integration of women and vice versa. We arrived to the idea of launching this project, Athena, because this was originated in a previous project in which we were working, smart volunteering for female migrants. And when we were organizing the final conference of that project in Brussels in 2000, at the end of 2019, there were a majority of intervention from migrant women which were focused on the lack of economic opportunities they had as the main handicap to a proper integration in the European Union. So we, especially, we are a Chamber of Commerce, and our main aim is to promote entrepreneurship and promote business, although we also have many social activities, and that is why we work also with vulnerable groups. But we, as a Chamber of Commerce, we always have in mind the main programs and legislation to support entrepreneurship in our region, and of course in the harmonized policies that come from the European Union. In this case, in this sense, we linked this need or demand from the migrant women with the European Union Entrepreneurship 2020 Action Plan, which intends to remove obstacles and revolutionize the culture of entrepreneurship, where business services should reach all potential entrepreneurs, including those from more vulnerable groups, making the European Union more cohesive. So in this sense, one of the commitment in the action plan of the European Union is to facilitate entrepreneurship among migrants already residing in the European Union based on the best practices already existing in the European Union. Since migrants represent an important pool of potential entrepreneurs, which are not fully exploited, that potential, and considering that they face as a vulnerable group specific legal, cultural, linguistic obstacles, these issues would need to be addressed in full in order to give them support, an equitable support to that other groups receive in the European Union. The European Union action plans on the integration on third country nationals also ensures that third country nationals could contribute economically and socially to the host communities. And that is key to the future well-being, prosperity and cohesion of European Union societies. So Athena will base on these needs, on these priorities and these previous works to provide new and better solutions for migrant women. So the objectives of Athena is to know the real demands and needs of migrant women regarding entrepreneurial culture, to improve the services provided by the public organization to migrant women on entrepreneurship, enable support to migrant women willing to launch a business activity contributing to their economic and social integration, to develop activities enhancing social and economic integration of migrant women, and as an indirect objective, new business activities and with great possibilities will be launched. The partners in Athena are 7 from 6 different countries of the European Union: Spain, Italy, Germany, Lithuania, Greece and Belgium. And it's composed of different organizations, training and organization from the business sector, NGOs, public administration. So we all together are working to achieve the objectives of Athena. And all of us in our particular territories, we are involved in a group of stakeholders that also may represent all the different type of stakeholders. So the methodology is very simple. In order to improve the services, policies, and support migrant women entrepreneurship by the development of common knowledge, we will identify and analyze the needs of migrant women. We will identify the good practices of business support services addressed to migrant women, and those that can also adapted to this group. We will prepare the specific materials and activities for them. We will train our professionals and from the organization working with entrepreneurs, and also specifically targeting migrant women. We will develop personal assessment and training for the creation of new companies for migrant women, and we will also analyze financial support schemes that can be used specifically for migrant women. As I mentioned, Athena has just started, but we expect to obtain the following results: to improve the knowledge of needs and demands of migrant women, that may complement previous works and research with additional fields of research, and always from the point of view of improving those services, improve and program supporting migrant women entrepreneurship. We intend to launch new services specialized on migrant women, and they will be reflected in 6 action plans that will necessarily include an entrepreneurial path for migrant women that should be really ready to be adopted in each of the territories in which the project will take place. More women integrated economically and socially. Only during the project duration, and expectation is that at least 30 women are targeted in the pilot in each of the territories. So that would represent more than 200 women in total with increased capacities. We also want to improve the capacity of professionals. We will make also policy effectuation at the different level, facilitated by a series of recommendations, and this will be based on the lessons learned during the project, and that will facilitate the transferability of the action plans to other regions in the European Union. And the project, as I mentioned before, will directly benefit more than 200 migrant women. That also the increase of more than 35 professionals in each of the organizations. And well, that was a very overall summary of our project. We are available for any questions that may emerge after this presentation, and you can contact me and my colleague Maria Carrillo to these emails in the screen. And thank you everyone for listening to our project, and we would be very happy to cooperate with you in our project or in any other project that with which we may make synergies. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we would like to thank Pablo and his team, because he managed everything for being with us. So thank to the Chamber of Commerce. And at least, but not least, we are going to present from Italy. Giulia Basso is going to present us REC, the REC project. So it's your foot. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Hope so. I'm here as project leader and coordinator of the REC project, in which INCOMA is also involved. So first of all, thank you to INCOMA for your kind invitation to contribute to this meeting. I'm going to present you the REC project, which, as its title states, it's a project about professional skills development for recognition and validation of informal and informal competencies learning of migrants and refugees for labor market inclusion. So, second slide, please. I don't know if I can manage to scroll them. Okay, thank you. The REC project is a project led by Foglias Cooperativa Sociale based near Rome, Italy. And the REC project started in November 2018 and will end at the end of October 2021. Its main approach and objectives are aimed at working together on common standards to improve recognition and validation of competencies for migrants, refugees, and for vulnerable groups for employability. The REC project intends to innovate by acting on the profiles of very kind of practitioners dealing with migrants and refugees, equipping them with necessary tools for value their both technical and transversal skills recognized. So to support their fast integration into labor market and to further VT opportunity, also work-based. Other slide, thank you. The context in which the REC project has been and is currently implemented is embedded in a European context where, in spite of different situations, common challenges do exist, and the transnational EU value can support the development of innovative practices to stimulate local stakeholders. Especially for migrants and refugees, as we all know, the early identification and validation of skills can help them enter in the VIT or labor market opportunities with visible and validated experience valued. So in our project, the first phase was the baseline and profiling, and we created a set of tools for recognition and validation of non-formal acquired skills of migrants. And we carry out testings, assessing the validity and the quality of the tools drawn from the country reports of the experimentations. Of course, as all of us, we have been stuck in the middle of the testing and we experienced a setback due to the COVID emergency, but we succeeded in conducting blended in-presence and online testing according to respective local regulations. So all the materials and information collected are currently set by project partners to analyze the lesson learned and to produce policy recommendation with operative guidelines for decision makers. So this third so-called output is still underway, and 6 countries belonging to the partnership have been guided by the same methodology, both for implementation and assessment, leading to a European final results. These countries are, as you can see, Italy, France, Greece, Belgium, Germany, and Spain. So the other slides so that I can give you an overview of the stakeholders. We can break down the participants into 3 main categories. The direct participants, as I was anticipating, practitioners in a very wide sense. So both intercultural mediators, counselors, trainers, and guidance experts. Beneficiaries, so migrants and refugees, involved in the implementation phase and its evaluation, having tested the REC toolkit with a very background and context, of course. Indirect participants, so enlarged networks, and of course, Europe-wide networks, also thanks to the involvement of 2 European networks in the partnership, EFTA and Tandem Plus. So the main results and conclusion, we do have lots of products so far, but we are still in the third implementation phase. So we already have a consolidated transnational report based on the REC partner surveys and national reports, which provide a comparative overview on the both national and EU state of play of recognition and non-formal learning. And this report also includes EU tools for early skills assessment, trends with regards to employment, skills assessment and validation tools and procedures, and the REC toolkit, which was tested in 6 countries by 8 project partners and was used by around 200 migrants with a very background and context according to age, qualifications, relevant documentation to be valued, formal and informal experience to be valued, and all the context of the respective experimentation and testing were collected in a transnational report, gathering the views both of practitioners and beneficiaries. So I invite you to consult it together with the REC toolkit itself. And the REC toolkit is, you can download it, of course, for free or in all our platforms and websites, which I'll scroll you later. And it's composed by tools for orientation activities that can help the migrant focus on how to choose the competencies and the skills to be valued and validated. So the REC questionnaire and some self-description tools for a very first phase of welcoming and reception of the beneficiaries, and the tools to identify knowledge and skills acquired in informal, non-formal context. So the dictionaries of transversal competencies and the grid of the unit of competencies that have to be used together with the dictionaries to put in light the informal and non-formal competencies. For all the details, you can browse on our page, both on Facebook, but of course, getting into contact with me. If you want to learn more and to be involved in the latest steps of the project together, you can give a quick view on the page, where you will have also the possibility to download the whole REC project toolkit. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia, for being here with us. Well, to close the event, Manuela Soro is going to take the floor, and for us, for EMME, it has been a pleasure for us to be here and collaborate with the event. So thank you so much, Manuela. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm Manuela Soro. I'm the coordinator of EMME project for the Cooperativa Girasole, which is the promoter of EMME project. And I just want to thank all of you, especially the partners of this project, because I've worked very well with you in this important and sometimes difficult experience due to the COVID. But I hope to work with them, with you in the future as well. And finally, I also want to thank all the participants of this webinar, and many thanks for coming. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, everyone. See you around. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.